we'll start the talk for today. Kochhar is not there with us today, so I will be conducting the talk on my own. So we'll take it. I mean, the 10 questions which I had shared the screen on, that is what we'll be working on step by step. The first thing which we'll be answering is what exactly is consulting when it comes to the civil street. What is included in it and what is needed to be done to become a consultant. So, if it is to be defined, consulting implies using your experience, domain knowledge, education, data, and research to provide solutions. So, this is where you provide solutions to your clients, wherein your solutions should do either all of these or some of these. And what are these? It should either save cost to your clients, it should avoid losses to your clients, it should save time oblique resources for your clients, it should improve the efficiency or the effectiveness of your clients' operations, work, sales, increase revenue, increase asset turnover, improve returns, or reduce risk and increase business longevity. So it's either all these things or some of these things is what your consulting should be able to do for the client using their experience, domain knowledge, education, data, and research. Now, why should an army officer take up freelance consulting as a career option rather than going for a job? One, and mostly applicable for officers who are coming after 20, 30 years of experience. You have a very deep domain experience of what you're doing. So you know what you have done in 20, 30 years and you can leverage that experience, you can use that experience. So why should one consider or look at freelance consulting? As I said, having put in 20, 30 years in a particular line of work as someone who has been executing things, you do gain a very deep domain knowledge of that particular line of work, and that domain knowledge can then be extrapolated to other industries, other uh, areas of work. Then second, being a freelance consultant gives you more flexibility in terms of the time of work, the mode of work, like work hours, what time you want to work, and how would you like to work offline, online, those kind of things. Then it does not involve a huge capital investment to start with, because the capital you are bringing in is your intellectual capital, your experience as a capital. So you don't need to have a huge capital investment to be a freelance consultant. Of course, that does not mean that there is a zero capital investment. Once you have developed your basic IPs, modules, uh, and your basic solutions, then the same can be shared with multiple clients. So your solutions, your modules become your product. Besides, there's hardly any retirement age. If you're able to take care of your health, the grayer you grow, more sought after you can be, provided you keep yourself updated with what is happening in the industry or the field you're consulting in. Then age, I mean, no one is there to retire you. It's you and your good health. Once you work hard, you establish a good practice, then uh, it's more the money, the respect, the engagements are much more than what a job will provide you. Finally, you're your own boss, so there's a lot of autonomy. You have more creative satisfaction. You have more individual stamp on what you're doing. So we all understand that, yes, what consulting is and why it should be attempted. The challenge is how to get the initial breaks, how to get those engagements which actually get you started, which bring you money, which give you the employment you're looking at in lieu of a regular employment. So the first thing is that you should network, industry specific network. Say I want to be a security consultant. So I should be looking at the industry which will employ my services as a security consultant. If I want to be a communications consultant or a consultant who has been into servicing of a particular kind of a machinery or a vehicle, etc., then I should have networks in that particular industry, in that particular task, in that particular domain, where people would be okay taking my expertise and paying me for it. And therefore, you should start your networking as soon as possible. If you have not done it till now, please start doing it now. Then all the jobs which can hire you using your specialized skills can also engage you as consultants. A lot of consultants start as part-time people who instead of offering your services as a full-time employee, you can always negotiate a situation wherein you engage yourself on a task basis, part-time employment. Yes, probably they'll pay you less, but then you'll have more time on your hands to explore other opportunities. Develop references from your network. A lot of initial businesses in all consulting kind of employment comes from references. You really cannot go out and start advertising yourself initially. The references is what will help you build your practice. Then you will have to start working on your marketing, promotions, and advertisements. But this is not going to be mass marketing or mass promotions or mass advertisement the way we see marketing or advertisements usually. Because what we see is more business to consumer marketing, wherein the mass media is utilized. But even as a consultant, if you have decided that this is where I want to uh, sell my intellectual capital or sell my consulting practice, you'll have to identify those markets and then market and advertise and promote your practice, your solutions in that particular industry or that particular domain. And this is a point which a lot of people initially miss out on. So, again, to reiterate, networking, then the jobs which can hire you can also engage you as a consultant on a part-time or a project basis. Third, references. And fourth, marketing and promotions and advertisement. Moving on, if I say then what should be the first step if I want to be a consultant? Let's say I want to be a consultant today in a particular domain. So the first step is preparing your intellectual property. Let's say I sell real estate. So what do? I study the industry. I study what it is that my clients want. And then accordingly, I prepare my solution modules for them. That if you're looking to invest X amount in X property, then these are the possible outcomes. And then my clients ask me those questions. I frame them. I assume that this is a question which would be troubling 50 other people. And then I find possible solutions for those questions. Then so then I segment my clients, I understand the requirements and try find solutions. Similarly, if you want to be a consultant, let's say you are a officer from uh, the combat arms and you want to be an operations consultant and you want to be an operations consultant for the supply chain industry, then you should learn the supply chain industry. Where what problems are the supply chain industry facing? And in the supply chain industry, what problems are the companies specifically in the supply chain industry facing? Do they face problems at procurement end? Do they face problems at the delivery end? What are those problems? What are the possible solutions? And those are the modules you should be preparing to start with. That's the intellectual property, and that is the first step you should be taking for developing your consulting practice. What is the second step? The second step is that you start advertising, you start publishing your intellectual property, not that you give out the entire solution of what you will do if a particular problem is shared with you, but you tell that what is a likely possibility, kind of a teaser that this is how it should be done. This is what other industries who face similar problems do. This is how a possibility is, and either an incident can be reduced or revenue can be increased. And then you publish and share these modules, etc., with your target audience on digital platforms, because that's the aim thing today. Also, it is not a very expensive mode of reaching out. The reach is faster, so you reach out through digital platforms. You reach out through Facebook, LinkedIn, Quora, Instagram, you name it, and there are at least 10, 12 digital platforms, WhatsApp and Telegram being one of the most common, but there are other digital platforms also. Then start developing your network in the industry forums. Say you want to be in the security industry, you should be a member of your local ASIS chapter. Similarly, you want to be in real estate industry, you should be a member of the NAR and the National Association of Realtors and the local real estate chapters. Now you start sharing your solutions with your peers in the industry and the target clients in the industry. Share your modules, your sample of work with the network you are developing or you have been developing over a period of time. If possible, try and share this on a periodic basis in forms of blogs or newsletters or articles on LinkedIn. And you'll find that over a period of time, if you're regular, if you're consistent, people will start following you. Nowadays, even YouTube is coming up in a big way in terms of publishing what you want to do. Third is keep repeating, keep reworking your intellectual property to refine it. When you start, you'll realize that you have so many ideas which can be broken down into smaller modules, uh, cataloged, worked in a certain way, and that's how it will help you also to refine it, and your clients will also appreciate it better when you're constantly working on it. Second, keep increasing your advertisement and your marketing presence. A lot of people think that I've got my first two clients, अब मुझे क्या करना है? So marketing is what will actually keep your business alive. And goes without saying, keep networking more and more, because the more better networked you are, more opportunities will open for you. The trust will be more visible you'll be, and people will want to work with you more. What are the major challenges which you face as a self-employed consultant? One, initial breaks are going to be difficult. There's no doubt about it, because industry doesn't recognize you. Being a self-employed consultant is like, it's not finding one job, it is finding 10 jobs. So that is going to be a very difficult thing. A problem which Fauji also faces lack of structure and routine. Armed Forces officer for a good 20, 30 years has worked in a very structured environment. You have a set routine, Monday to Friday, Saturday, this is what I have to do, this is my office time, this is my games time, this is my drawing right up till say the mandir is also a parade. So everything is structured. When you start doing things on your own, you really don't have a structure, you don't have a routine, and that can be a big dampener for a lot of people. And that is where you should try and structure a routine, create a routine for yourself, so that you're actually productive and you're not just thinking that you're productive. Also, the intellectual property development initially becomes a huge challenge. A lot of people face a mental block there, a creative block कि इसमें अब क्या करना है, क्या लिखें. Don't bother about it. Start working on it. Over a period of time, you'll be able to find your way through it. Initially, one has to realize that 90% of the work, if not 90, at least 80% of the work will not come from big organizations. It will come from small organizations, and I'll try and explain this point to you. Let's say an officer after 20 years of service comes out and starts working as a chief security officer of a corporate headquarter of one of the big companies. That big company will hire the person and pay him 30, 40, 50 lakhs, whatever, on a per annum basis. But that company now wants a full-time employee for engaging the services of this officer. They will not hire a security consultant at 30, 40, 50 lakh rupees and then be okay on a project or a task basis, because this company is able to afford that officer as a full-time employee, and this company does a business in thousands of crores. But there could be a smaller industrial setup of, let's say, 150, 200 crore on an annual basis turnover. They definitely are not in a position to hire a chief security officer at a salary package of 3 lakh rupees or 3.5 lakh rupees a month. But they can engage this officer's services, get their security apparatus right. The officer can help them create a security team. So the officer can be paid some money, which is not up to the extent of 3.5 lakh rupees, and he can help them. And then once the engagement or the initial tasking has been done, then the engagement can be over a period of time depending on reviews and audits and all. So 90% of the initial business will come from smaller organizations, and that becomes a lot of hustle initially. So these are the challenges. Where do officers usually fall short in meeting these challenges? The officers really do not work on their advertisement, promotions, and marketing. We have not been taught as for these to promote or advertise or market, and that is something they should really look into. And as a result, they also do not. I said that consulting is it involves low capital investment, but not zero capital investment, and therefore they should make some provisions for some budget for spending money on their marketing and advertisements. Then they network mostly with their Fauji contacts. The hesitation to network out of comfort zone is a big hesitation, and that should be overcome. That should be an effort should be made by officers to network out of their Fauji contacts from where they'll get the business. Because if you're only networking in your Fauji contacts, most of the times you are, you know, it's not being productive because everyone is going out to them and everyone is wanting the same thing. Then officers have an assumption that मुझे तो ये आता है so इसलिए ये easy होगा, which is not true. It is rewarding in the long run, but initially it is quite hard, and a lot of officers tend to give up after 6 months to a year. Another problem which I've realized with armed forces officers is that they don't really know how to ask for money, because asking for money has never been a forte with the Fauji officers. Your emoluments, your salaries, your the money you get as allowances, everything is defined. So a Fauji officer does not really know how to ask for what kind of money, at what point to ask for money, how to negotiate for money. Also, uh, armed forces officers do not really build their solutions based on data, because we don't work with data that much and they tend to fall short on that research. That is something which should be taken care of. Usually, English gets mistaken for content, which is not the case, especially when you're working as you're trying to develop your practice as a consultant. You have to be data intensive. What would one recommend finally is that the intellectual property you develop is your product, your mind. So you have to put your experience, your mind into measurable modules, into measurable solutions. So put your effort there, put your focus there, develop it well. Learn to advertise and market. Even if you are very good at it, if you think you are very good at it, still learn better. Learn to negotiate. For that, please start brushing up your, don't assume that you negotiations. Most of us don't know how to negotiate. We think you बातचीत कर ली, bargain कर लिया, haggle कर लिया, that is negotiation. That is not. Read about negotiations. There's a lot of literature available about negotiations. What you are delivering as a consultant is your report, advisory, modules, solutions, and mostly written, at times spoken advice. Therefore, please do not give your advice for free except for as a sample, and don't expect others to give advice for free. When I say that, what I'm trying to say is if you're developing your consulting practice, you'll have at times have to engage other specialists from other fields, and they will provide you the required specialized inputs. Take their advice, pay them. Similarly, when you are giving your advice, do not give it for free, and improve your written skills there, because your modules, your written solutions are the deliveries which you're making. Finally, it will take time. So do it because you wish to do it, not because you're not able to find a job. Because if the driving force is कि यार नौकरी नहीं मिल रही है, मैं freelance consultant बन जाता हूँ, the challenge is that being a freelance consultant implies you're looking for now, instead of one, you're looking for 10 jobs. My final thing, what you should do, final recommendation, how you should structure your practice. Initially, don't try and get a company registered or a LLP registered, or all that is not required. It's simply spending money where it is not needed. You can start as a simple proprietorship. If two, three officers are coming together, a simple partnership, registered partnership, which will cost you 5,000-7,000 rupees, is all you need to start. Don't bother about getting a trademark or a patent. I've seen a lot of officers want to do that. Please keep your overheads low. Do not get into कि मैं एक अच्छा सा ऑफिस ले लेता हूँ, रिसेप्शनिस्ट बिठा देता हूँ, ऑफिस बॉय होगा. क्लाइंट उससे नहीं आता है. जब क्लाइंट आते हैं तब, once you start getting clients, once your practice starts giving you money, is when you should be looking at these things. This is not a start point. This is at a much later time. So initially you can start with you can meet clients in their office, DSY, EPTA, hotels are there, so many hotels are there. For your working space, your own room, your study, your garage, a co-working space is better than hiring your own offices. Finally, what kind of a money you should be asking for? As a basic benchmark, assume that if you're working as a full-time job, 160 hours is what 160 to 170 hours is what you typically put in a month. So if you're, let's say, getting expect to get a salary of 3 lakh rupees, divide that by 160 hours, that works out to around 2,500 rupees as an hourly rate. That is the minimum you should be asking for. Although, as a successful consultant, the hourly rates are much, much, much higher than that. But this is what, if you are providing good solutions, people should be willing to pay you at least this much of hourly and work base. I mean, you should calculate the kind of hours you'll put in, and then accordingly uh, present a bill or an invoice for that, for the kind of work you want to do. I have kind of covered what I wanted to cover.
You gotta focus on yourself, on your faith, on your dreams, on your mind, on your health, yeah. You gotta work, never tell, keep your head down.